Right. I apologize. I was supposed to record too, so I forgot about that. So I'm recording right now. um, so this is day two again, and we're going to be talking about who is your inner child. So, um, as I said, it's not just about the past. It's about reclaiming and healing the wounded inner child and healing that part of you that controls the emotional side of you. When you're triggered, it's because something emotional is happening, not because you're pinched, um, but it's because something emotional has happened to you and it looks familiar, feels familiar, sounds familiar, and it makes you trigger. So it's all about the emotional wellness you need to have as a full person, as an adult. You need to help your inner child, no matter what age they are, and in your trauma, you need to help them grow up to be adults. Okay. And alongside you, you will never get them to your body age. I will tell you that. Thus, my kind of, woohoo, excitability. I'm always energetic. So you'll never get that child to that, um, the side of you that's, whether what your body age is or your physical age is. Okay. The inner child needs to be seen, heard, and loved every moment of the day. Yeah, that's a tough thing. I told you all that yesterday. It's going to be tough to do this, but it's going to be all worth it. If your little child, little Edna, does not feel love in the present moment, then the inner child work you that you're doing now won't make any real change. Won't make any change. You are here because you want to make change. You want to make things change for your life. No matter what age, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, how you're doing, you want to make change. The goal here is to become the loving parent you always wanted every moment of the day. So, what does that mean for you? You have to be present. You have to be so self aware that you have to be a parent, present and a parent to your little Edna. Okay. This is where the conscious self parenting comes in. That's where it comes in. So, what is conscious self parenting? Conscious self parenting is about developing a loving relationship between our adult self and our inner child, no matter what age. This is when you validate and take your feelings into account when taking any actions. So, yesterday we talked about being a people pleaser. We take our feelings in account so that we can get away from being people pleasers and take actions to step back and take our feelings into account. Because you giving out does not make you complete. You'll always feel like there's just still something missing. And you can be like a person who's running around all the time. I'm very busy, and I don't like to use the word busy. Busy, 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 and just seems like nothing's getting done for you, that is. Everybody's getting their needs met, but not you. So, this conscious self parenting makes you aware of yourself and your feelings and takes your feelings into account. So if you don't want to go to the store for someone, you can say no with a period. You don't have to explain. You don't have to, get all irate. You just no, and that's it. Um, Without that connection between your adulthood and your child, you'll find yourself acting without regard to your feelings. So you'll be a major people pleaser. You'll be a major, maybe procrastinator. You'll be majorly not confident. Um, and you definitely won't take any action. That's for you, but you'll take action for other people. This will teach you to take action for yourself. Understand how you feel and be able to respond to your feelings instead of reacting to them and getting, if you say no, you don't have a guilt feeling. I should have made time, and you start to negotiate with yourself. Non-negotiable. This will help you be non-negotiable with how you feel. Your feelings are there for a reason. They're there to be validated. They're important. You matter, period, point blank. And I know some are going to say, oh, this might be ego, but is it? I think it's confidence. If you're confident that you have these feelings, there's no reason why you have these feelings, right? But there is a reason. So you can feel them, be aware of them, and use them to be able to know what's going on, to be more aware of yourself, more aware of who you are. So it helps you to be responsive and really not take too much action on feelings. So if something's happening and somebody says something that's maybe upsets you or offends your sensibility, you probably won't let it bother you. Okay? So this teaches you not to respond to such things because it's ludicrous and it's not how you really feel. So you give it no credence. You give it no validity. Only thing that matters is how you are validated and how you validate your inner child. So who is your inner child? The inner adult is the right brain. This side. Yep, right there. The emotional, creative, and subconscious mind. Okay? It is the aspect of your personality that is vulnerable and feeling oriented. It is our gut instinct. Our gut instinct is everything on this emotional, creative, and subconscious mind. The gut instinct that tells you something ain't real right. That's the adult part of you that tells you that. I think, don't think, Carl Jung, 1875 to 1961, he's the psychologist that first coined this phrase, the inner child. He's the first one that ever coined it, right? Now, the right brain is largely formed by experiences in the first 5 years of our life. First 5 years. Thus, me always talking about the 5-year-old of my life, thus that. So, to really form these experiences, it's in the first 5 years. And it is part of the brain that is responsible for our emotions. That's why we call it the inner child. That's why we call it the inner child. The inner child's personality is subordinate to the conscious mind. Yet it influences this mind, this whole mind. The influence is negative when the inner child is traumatized or is wounded, right? So until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. You won't call it creation. You won't call it, abundance. You will call it fate. This is luck. This is by chance. This is because the unconscious and the conscious are not aware of one another. And it will always direct your life. The unconscious part will always direct your life. No matter what happens, it will always direct it. The responses, because emotions control the body. The body reacts to whatever stimulus is here out in the world. So it will respond. So you will always do that. Now, so who is your inner adult? I'm sorry, I apologize. I said the inner adult first. It's not, it's inner child. I apologize. I wrote that wrong. I apologize. So what I explained first was the inner child. definition. So I apologize for that. Now, who is the inner adult? That side is the left brain. So the inner child is the right side. I apologize for that because I wrote that wrong. And the inner adult is the left brain, which is logical, analytical, and conscious minded. It's like, we want everything done the right way. It's the part that has collected knowledge throughout our lives, all the education, the skills, the know-how, the people, the connections, all of that's stored there. Whereas the inner child is the part of us that is feeling and being, and the inner adult is the part of us that is thought and action. Okay? I got that right. Just as it is in a family, it is the adult's job to take action on behalf of the inner child. So the adult has to take charge of the inner child. So the conscious reparenting is when the adult takes a loving action, one that takes into account how the inner child feels. Okay? So what do you start doing to become your own best parent? When I started to do this, I thought this was very difficult, I will say. And I, like one of the participants from last night, was a mother who gave what I didn't get from my parent and parents. I gave to my children. In addition, what their father couldn't give, I gave to them. So I was always giving. When I learned to reparent myself, I took that very same love and attention and patience, kindness, grace, and I diverted it on myself. So if I didn't feel well and didn't want to do anything, it was okay to lay down and take a nap. It was okay to call into work. It's all right. But we have so much loyalty to everyone else. No matter if, we have time or not, it's okay to do that, but we cater to everyone else and not ourselves, because let's just be honest. If we don't take care of ourselves, who will? And then you got you got your tentacles all out and helping everyone else. When the dust hits the ground or hits your feet, or however they say that, when something happens to you, what happens? You can't do any of that. So it's best to care for yourself first and make sure that you're a whole human being, a whole energetic person, a whole energized and up-leveled person, so that you can be able, if you want to, help others. Children who are not loved in their very beingness when they're very young do not know how to love themselves. That's just the truth, straight truth. As adults, they have to learn to nourish, to mother their own lost child. They have to mother themselves. They have to father themselves and know that it's okay to do that. So learning how to parent your inner child begins and happens in stages. I had plenty of stages that I had to learn how to grow up. Each of my age frames, like, from 5 to 7, 8 to 10, and all those stages, you have to learn how to parent yourself in all those stages as your little child grows up. We grow into the job through instinct and increased awareness. So we grow into being a parent through instinct and awareness. What am I? Awareness takes what? Being still. Stop running everywhere. Instinct takes what? Being aware. Sit down with yourself. Be your own self-friend. Forget about the loneliness. Learn how to be in solitude. It's a difference in being lonely. Solitude means you can be alone with yourself. Then go out to lunch with yourself. Treat yourself. Have a lunch and really enjoy it. Don't sit there with nobody's with me. That really enjoy it. Be in the moment. I never was able to sit down and have like go to Starbucks or any coffee place and just sit. I never did that. I was always with somebody. I can't even remember. But the very, very first time I did it was a very rainy day and I didn't want to stay inside. So I said, I'm going to take my computer and I'm going to go to Starbucks and sit there, have me a nice cup of coffee, maybe a boiled egg and an apple. Who knows? Anything like that. So I did, and I was in the moment. I stayed in the moment. When I say I stayed in the moment, it was very refreshing and I was happy about it. And that's when I first started to be increasingly aware about what I really needed. I needed my adult self to take care of my little self and say, hey, you deserve to be heard. You deserve to sit down and, sing out loud if you want to a song that's going on at Starbucks. I'm not going to say I'm really loud, but I'm like, I'm humming. You deserve to be heard. Go on, girl. Help yourself. I'm with you. So become your best parent to yourself, okay? So right now, what I'm going to do, if anyone has questions on this, what I talked about, please put it in the chat box, or if you want to raise your hand, now's the time for that. Because what we're going to do next is we're going to do one exercise and then Q&A. So if anyone has any questions about what I just spoke on or shared with you, you're welcome to put it in the chat box or raise your hand and ask the question. Give you a couple seconds. Okay. I don't see anybody. I'll give you a couple seconds more. And if I will continue with the exercise.
I have my hand raised.
Oh, girl, I didn't see it. I'm so sorry. All right. Who said that? Who
Thelma.
is that?
Thelma.
Okay. Go ahead, Thelma. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for the information. It's been great. And but I had a question. Like you were talking about a lot of things yesterday that resonated with me, a lot of that stuff. So if you've already raised a child, my daughter is 25, she's gonna be 26 in like 2 months. And so like a lot of things I'm seeing with her, like it seemed like some of the same patterns, some of the same stuff that I made mistakes. She's doing the same thing. And then I was thinking, like, was I really still a child raising her, even though I'm much older now? I was like, well, maybe that's why she turned out, because I was still a child. My inner child hadn't, I don't know. It's hard to put it in words, but I feel like my inner child had never reached the level that it needed to be. But I thought through parenting her, like you said earlier, giving your child, and trying not to let them fall into the same patterns. Or of course, she didn't experience some of the trauma, but then I also I feel like I passed a lot on to her unconsciously that I did not mean to, but I did.
Yeah. Well, we often forget that we're energy. So try as you may to hide whatever emotion that you have down in here. Try as you may, it still comes out. We forget that we're energy. We just forget that everything that we do, every emotion, how we feel, it's emanated from us. Okay, so you don't have to say a word. So it's emanated. Now, what you're talking about is something that I also teach is generational patterns. Now, you got to have layers already. And if you are a Black person or a person of color, you have those racial, stacks already there. All right.
Right.
All right. Already there. So then if your family has their own things, like what I've seen in some of the people that I've coached, they're the women in the family have children, but the mates don't stay.
Right.
So you could see it throughout the family, the pattern, and guess what? You don't want that for your child's, right? But what you're giving your child is what you didn't get.
Right.
You're not looking at what she didn't get. So remember, I just said it about my sons and my daughters when they're I had to give them what I didn't get, right?
Right.
But I didn't, I found out later, maybe when my kid's like 12, my youngest son was 12, that I was like, oh, his father's not there for him. So now that's an extra layer of giving what he wants or what they need.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So you can't, you can give what you didn't get, right? But that's not on your child. That's on your little Edna, not on your child's. Does that make sense? You have what when you, and you can do this even with your children, your own children. You can start to say, okay, I see what's happening here. Now, are you willing to have that conversation about this is what I see? And it's not good for you, but I want to give you options. And I'm sorry I wasn't able to see it prior to this. Are you willing to do that?
So she would have to go through some type of healing as while I'm going through it. Is that what you're saying?
What no, I'm saying is, I don't know if we talked. You were on yesterday. I said a lot of things we have to say sorry about.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry you didn't know, meaning sorry I didn't know that I did this to you.
Right.
I was supposed to be parenting my little child, which is your little Thelma, not your children. Your children, you should be looking at them. What is it they need? Because they're different from I am. So I had to help myself, give myself what I needed before I gave my children what they needed.
Okay.
Okay. So you helping your little Thelma first, but going to your children saying, or to your child and saying, hey, I didn't know this, but
Mm-hmm.
here's an option. Let's talk about this. I didn't know that I was emanating this from me, and I apologize. I'm sorry for that. I really am. But I want to help you to be better than, this generational thing that's happening. And I don't want that for you. Okay? Does that make
Right.
a little bit of sense?
Yes, because I have a granddaughter as well. She's 3, and excuse me. I thought when just trying to love on her and whatever mistakes I made with my daughter that I could have a second chance with her. But you're saying that I still got to parent that little child within me. It's not the granddaughter or the babe or my daughter. Me.
It's the child in you, because it's not getting, you are reparenting what you didn't get, not what your daughter didn't get. Now, if you're realizing now that your daughter is, repeating some patterns that you have displayed, it's because it's emanating off of you, and she sees it. She sees it. She sees it in the family pattern. She sees it. Whether she's around them or not, she sees the pattern. And then it's embedded in us energetically and gene wise. So what do? You talk about it. You talk to her about it. This is what I see. And, I want you to, overcome this, because this is something that our generations have seen, our family have seen doing, and I don't want you to go through that. So that's a different conversation.
I've talked to her about certain things, but then there's times she was like, oh, Mama, nobody's going to do like you. Nobody's going to be abstinence like, because I've chose to be. Anyway, my relationships have never worked. And even the last one, which was 3 years ago, I tried so hard, but it did not work. And I was like,
it's because you're not loving on yourself. I was there with you. You're not loving on yourself. they last for a while, but they don't, and you pick the wrong ones. Energetically, but
Yeah.
we can talk separately about this. It's a long process. We can talk separately.
Okay.
And you and I can talk about that and kind of get that in the purview, because it's kind of like outside of what we're doing today. But
Okay.
definitely
Okay.
love on yourself. That's it. Love
Okay.
on yourself. Okay. And when I
Yeah.
keep doing it, I'm talking about the little film. Okay. When
Okay.
whatever she didn't receive, make sure you say to her as adult Thelma, I hear you. I
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
And I understand. And I'm sorry that I didn't hear you before. And I'm
Uh-huh.
sorry that my mother, my father, whoever it was, did not hear you. I'm here to hear you.
Yeah. Okay. I did a few things last night. What you
Good.
had said, get in the
Good.
mirror. I stripped down. I did all of that.
Yeah.
And
And it makes you really free. It really does. It makes you like really feel different. You feel different about things. You really feel uninhibited about a lot of things. You
right.
really do. And I will tell you what I did after that. I cut my hair down to a number one. So I was like, I told my nephew, come over, let's cut it all off.
Oh my
And
goodness.
it made me free. Yeah, yeah. So everybody has their own right to go, but I had to go that route. So it was great. It was great.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right.
Thank
So
you.
you and I can talk on the side about that. We can email each other about that, and I can get you started in that direction that
Okay.
you need about that
Okay.
portion. All right.
Okay.
Anyone else with a question? Thank you, Thelma.
Thank you.
Anyone else with a question before we get to the exercise?
I have a question real quick. Well, more,
Sydney, right?
I might have jumped off a little bit early.
Sydney, I need you. Sydney, it sounds like you're far away, and I can't really hear you. Can you come forward a little bit?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, perfect. All right. I might have jumped off a little bit early yesterday. So I heard that you said that there was an exercise that we could have done. Did I need to send an email to you to
No, it's
receive
on
that?
it's on the event itself. So it's on the event. So it's a PDF.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? All right, Thelma, I have your email. Thank you. I'll send you an email. Anyone else? Okay. All right. No other questions. We're good. We're gonna go to the exercises. You might wanna. What I can do is I can create a PDF for these as well. There are a few of them, but we're only gonna do one or two according to time. All right. Okay. So I have collected like 15 of them, reparenting exercises for the inner child. And these are perfect so that you can be able to deal with a lot of trauma. And sometimes, I'm going to tell you, sometimes you will cry, you will get emotional, but you work with that. You work through that, and you ask yourself questions as you're crying. What is this really about? What is this about? So let's go to the first one, which is, I think it's in line to what we're talking about today. I did have someone that said that they didn't remember that part of their lives. And what I really want to reiterate is whatever age you do remember, start there. Start there, because that opens the floodgates to understanding and hearing what that particular younger self is saying, so that it can open up the memory to the earlier childhood. So I wanted to get that out of the way. I really wanted to reiterate that. Okay, so exercise 1 is to describe your inner child. That's good. Yeah, this is really good. So you have to become curious about the child part by asking yourself questions, right? How old is my little Edna? How old is she? I know how old she's 5. Okay. How does he or she, what do I look like? I know what I remember. I was wearing, I remember a blue bow in my hair. My mother always liked to put those ribbons in my hair. and I had a light blue with white trim dress on. Hated it. Um, I had that on, so I remember what I was wearing, and I remember what I looked like, what braids were in my hair. I remember that. Um, what else? I didn't have glasses, and I always had a mean face. I always had a mean. It was like, you know, I always had that face on. Um, you got to ask yourself what expression is on the face, on your little child's face. How is he or she feeling? When I discovered that I had an inner child, I felt like she was in a basement. Like I felt the moisture around her. Um, I felt the dampness, the musty smell. I felt all of that about her, and actually, that she was very sad. There was no anxiety. It was no loneliness, but it was very sad and withdrawn. So ask yourself, how is he or she feeling? Is she stressed? Is he stressed? Is he or she anxious? Is he or she angry? Is he or she lonely? Then you want to ask your inner child, how can I validate and reassure you? And the first thing when I asked that my inner self, that the 5-year-old, because I felt she was in the basement, and I think you saw one of my books that was the beginning of my writing period. My journaling was all poetry, and the cover of it, I created it. I felt she needed a button to go to the other floor, to get out of the basement, and you see my little me reaching up, pressing the button to get out of the basement. So that was my way to validate that I felt for little Edna, and to reassure her that she's getting out of here. So describe your inner child, and then describing your little child, it helps you feel empathy. Now you're giving yourself a face, giving yourself a condition, and it gives you empathy and compassion towards the child. It's not just like some, arbitrary, maybe you got just the outline right now. It's in your vision, you got the outline. No. We're going to go deeper than that. Describe the inner child, what your little child looks like. Describe him or her, so that you can begin to form a connection with that person, with that child, not person, but child. And also while validating his or her experience. So because of the trauma of the past, right? You are invalidated. You, as I told you yesterday, there was a sign over your head: children should be seen and not heard. And we should not be speaking to our elders. Let the elders know what to say, and we don't, so we need to be quiet. Those things have influenced us and kept us down and suppressed, kept this child even in the basement, my child, even in the basement, because nothing she said was valid, was true. Nothing she felt was valid or true. But it helps you see your child as innocent. Now, try not to, no, I'm not going to tell you try. Don't ask your inner child what happened to you at this age. Because all you're going to get is you should know, or you're going to frustrate yourself because he or she may not even answer. So don't do that. Instead, ask him or her, what kind of things has little Edna experienced? Okay? Because you don't want to trigger your adult person and or the child, because the child is going to start get triggered from that question, what happened to you? And that's almost like insulting. What happened to you? It's almost insulting. So what is that? It's a trigger. And it makes your little child relive it. So we don't want to do that. So that's one exercise. I know it's heavy, but that's one exercise. Write that down and do that so you can start to feel the compassion for your little child. Okay? Okay, good. All right. Does anyone have questions? And put it in the chat. We have 15 minutes. Do we have any questions about that particular exercise? Okay. All right. So we'll go on to number 2. I will, again, put this as a PDF if you'd like it into the group so that you can have it to go over at your leisure. So let's try exercise 2, affirm the inner child. So, of course, you know what this word affirm means is, make sure that you're using a lot of IMs, affirmations, for that purpose. Now, the purpose of this exercise is to love on your inner child. It's to love on. Number 1, write down the names of your most cherished friends, family members, and loved ones. These are the people that make you feel safe and loved. Where if you are around them, you can hug them all day. You can hold their hands all day. You can tell them anything. Those are the safest people. Write their names down. Okay. Number 2, find a place to sit quietly. I created space both in my room when my grandkids are not here, and in my living room where my safe, quiet place is, where you won't be disturbed for about 15 minutes. And I want you to take a few relaxing deep breaths. They always seem to loosen me up. So I, do 2, 3, whatever you feel that's going to bring in the good and out with the bad. All right. 3, imagine yourself as a child, surrounded by all these loving people. Right? All these loving people. Then imagine your loving parents that you would ideally want them to be. Ideally want them to be for you. Ideally. They're in that group now. So you have these loving people hugging on you, loving on you, listening to you, asking you, what do you think? Listening to what you're saying, you're sharing all your day. You just love it. They're loving on you. That's where you want to be. That's where you want your inner child to be. So as your child is, listening to all of that good stuff, you're in that space, they're all listening to that good stuff. Now imagine that you're hearing, I'm happy that you're here. I see you. You are special to me. I respect you. I love you. Your needs are important to me. I am here for you. You can rest in me. I'll keep you safe. I enjoy you. Now imagine hearing all those things from those loving people that's all around you. It's like, yeah, you're just eating it all up, right? Your little Edna is eating it all up. And I'm just sharing everything about my day. I'm feeling good. And maybe I want to say something that went bad, and you're going to hug me and tell me it's okay. what you said to me is important. I'm going to take care of that. Maybe I needed to say that, and it's just feels really, really good. Now you can always create your own affirmations, your messages to yourself, by asking your inner child, by asking them, what do you want to hear? I want to know what you want to hear. Simple and easy. Now, that's 2 exercises. Okay. So there are 15 that go into deeper into it, to uncover your inner child's beliefs. There's an exercise for that. There's an exercise for disseminating the false messages from your childhood, and even accepting the wounded inner child, because inside of that child is some wounds. So you have to accept, that part of the child, and understanding your wounded child's perspective. Because remember, I said that flashing thing, kids should be seen and not heard. Sometimes we don't understand their perspective. Our parents didn't understand our perspective. They only kept their perspective in view. And you are now going to understand your child's perspective, your little child's. Okay. So there's about 15 of those exercises to kind of get a little bit more deeper into it. But as a that is 2 exercises we're going to do. I will, like I said, put the PDF available to you with all 15 in the group. Does anyone have any questions on these 2 exercises?
I didn't have a question, but I'm not in the Facebook group for some reason. I don't know how to get access to it.
Facebook? Okay, so when you say group, I mean event. Are you in the event?
Yeah. I registered and stuff because I got the email, but I'm not.
Okay,
did you post something from yesterday in there? Because I'm not seeing anything.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Let me see. I'm just going to try to pull it up for you now and see. So I don't know why, but if it comes to that, let's see. And you said you're not seeing it. I do see you here, Paris. You're not getting information. Okay. Let's see. All right. I don't know why, but I can. If not, let me see. I can always send a link. Facebook created I guess a messaging for the class. I could send a link there if you like, or if you want me to send it to email, whichever is easiest for you or you want, I can do that. But I do see your name here. I don't know why you're not seeing the posts. I don't know why. I'm sorry.
Could you send it to my email?
Sure, just put it in the chat box here, and I will send it. You want yesterday's and today's?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Sure. I'll now send it to you. All right. Any other questions? All right. Okay. Thank you, Paris. I see it. All right. So I really do appreciate everyone coming today. Tomorrow, if you have not seen the agenda, will be the 3rd day, and we will be talking about inner child wounds. Okay. Inner child wounds, and we'll be doing a test. All right. So I'll talk to you all tomorrow. Thank you for attending.
I found it, Edna.
You got it?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Everyone else have a great rest of your day or morning or evening, wherever you are. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me. My email address will be in the chat. All right. Bye for now.
Bye, Edna. Thank you.
Bye, Carrie.